I admit I am a finance book reading addict. I have been for years, and I honestly still am. Personal finance, business finance, investing, money mindset, research on millionaires and billionaires, you name it, and I've probably read a book or 5 on the topic. And in today's video, I want to boil down and share with you my top 7 finance book recommendations. I see books as the ultimate life hack. You can literally take someone's entire lifetime of wisdom and learnings in a field that they are an expert in and consume it in just a matter of hours. Now, these books, which I'm about to share, were truly so important to getting myself and my business to where they are today. So without further ado, let's get into the recommendations. Book number 1, Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. Now, here's the thing. If you run a business and that business is not profitable, then you can't pay yourself out a consistent salary or an inconsistent salary or dividends or really anything. And all of your attempts at building wealth personally will kind of be non-starters if you're a business owner who has an unprofitable business. So if you also have a full-time business or a side hustle, you need to know how to manage your business finances before you're going to have any personal money to manage. And this book is genuinely incredible. The author, Mike Michalowicz, is freaking hilarious and turned the topic of business finance, potentially one of the most dry, uninteresting topics you could possibly imagine, into a genuinely riveting read. I remember exactly where I was when I read this book. I was on vacation in Canada with my husband. We were staying at the Fairmont Montebello. That is the biggest log cabin hotel in the world, if you are unfamiliar with it. And as I was laying by the pool reading this book, I honestly just kept bursting out laughing, to which my husband asked, highly confused, like, "Aren't you reading a book on business finance right now?" This book will truly help so much to ensure that your business is profitable and your business finances are in order and you're able to take home a fantastic personal income from it. The Profit First method is exactly the method I use to organize my finances in my own business, and without it, I would 1000% still be sitting every single month staring at a profit loss statement, pretending like I know what that means and kidding myself that I know how to use that to make business financial investment decisions. Which, let's be real, I absolutely do not. But with the Profit First method, I know exactly how to manage my business finances. Book number 2, The Index Card by Harold Pollack and Helene Olin. Now, this book and the next one are what I would classify as super easy reads and really beginner-friendly books. I'll get more into the dense, more advanced book recommendation later, but this book falls squarely into the perfect for you if you're new or maybe a little bit inexperienced with the whole personal finance thing at the moment. So the author, Harold, was apparently fed up with all of the confusing, conflicting financial advice out there and said that what people really need to know to manage their own personal finances and retire comfortably could fit on a single index card. Now, if you have tried other personal finance book and you find your head just absolutely spinning or you are just totally confused by what exactly it is that you actually read, then this is the perfect book for you. It is simple, clear, beginner-friendly, and the advice in it is absolutely solid, so I highly recommend. Book number 3, The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins. Now, this book is another super easy read and gives you a perfect introduction and explanation on investing. So the author, J.L. Collins, explains the stock market. He explains about its rises and falls and bull markets, bear markets, bonds, index funds, asset allocation, dollar cost averaging, and more. Basically, all of those confusing financial terms that you've heard and nodded along pretending like you actually know what they mean, this book explains them in a way that you can actually understand. At the end of the book, you will not only understand investing, how to do it properly, how to hold your nerve when the market goes wild, but also a bit of practical advice on picking investments too. With other investment books, I felt like I read them and understood the concepts, but I didn't know what to do practically next, and this book was one of the few which I feel like actually covered this topic fairly well. Book number 4, The Little Book of Common Sense Investing by John C. Bogle. Now, this book is where things get a little bit more advanced and complex. Written by John C. Bogle, you might have heard of his name before. He's the creator of something called an index fund. Now, index funds are a super popular financial tool and investment option, and he's also the founder of Vanguard, which is personally the company and the platform that I choose to invest my money with. Now, this book goes in depth into understanding the market and gives a ton of detailed examples on what would have happened with your money had you invested it in different ways in the market over the past few years. Now, if you listen to any advice on finance these days, you're going to hear that index funds are all the rage right now, but you might not understand why, and I think that's super important for you to understand why you're making a financial decision instead of just following what everyone else says to do. By the end of the book, you will also be an index fund advocate and truly understand why they're so incredible and such a fantastic tool for investing your money with, which again will be super vital information to be equipped with when it's going to happen. The markets are going to take a downturn at some point in the future, and uneducated investors are going to be the ones pulling out at just the wrong time, but you won't be if you read this book. Book number 5, The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. Now, this book is a true gem. I truly love Tim's work and his way of thinking. This isn't a finance book in the traditional sense, but it can be extremely helpful with getting you on the path to wealth. And when I say wealth, I don't just mean in terms of finances here. Tim shares a completely unique, somewhat feisty and creative method of thinking about work and earning an income. I first read this book way back in high school and thought Tim was totally out to lunch, and what he shared was completely unrealistic for me, until I then reread the book a few years later after I'd created my own business and realized I was actually doing a fair few of the things which he had recommended doing. So go into this book with an open mind. I can confirm his crazy ideas do indeed work, and you can implement them into your life to build a business which runs itself and leaves time for you to build not just financial wealth, but a life with the time to follow your passions too. Book number 6, The Everyday Millionaire by Chris Hogan. Now, this book has a lot more to do with the mindset and attitude towards finance than anything else. So Chris Hogan completed some research on millionaires in America. He surveyed over 10,000 millionaires, and in the book, he details who they are, their mindsets, and what they do with their money, which is absolutely not what you would expect at all. It turns out millionaires in America are not the ones flying around in private jets or showing off Lamborghinis or designer bags. They're quite literally your frugal next door neighbor, which you would have no clue is actually rolling in it. This book tells you what millionaires do and don't do with their money, and it helps you learn how to become one by taking a similar frame of mind and actions as America's millionaires. This book is an extremely interesting read. It's super fun to get through and truly one of my absolute favorite finance books. And I do have to say that making this video actually inspired me to go back and reread this one over again, and I am loving listening to it on Audible right now. Number 7, The Millionaire Teacher by Andrew Hallman. Now, this one is a book which is for you if you're in a very specific situation like I am. So this book was written by a teacher who taught at international schools and who moved countries every few years. So its specific advice in this book is for anyone in a similar situation. Now, I'm not a teacher at an international school, and I would imagine that probably most of you aren't either watching, but if you are digital nomading or moving countries a lot, basically just ignore the word teacher in the book, and this book is literally perfect for you. I moved abroad to Europe after college and honestly have no idea which country I will be in when I retire, which makes investing a bit more complicated. A lot of countries have investment vehicles or wrappers, which are a tax-efficient way to save for your future. Things like 401ks in the US, RRSPs in Canada, and pensions in the UK. So if you're also always moving or not sure where you're going to end up like me, then you can't really take advantage of these tax-efficient vehicles, and it makes investing a lot more tricky, but not impossible. And this book has fabulous recommendations for exactly that situation. Now, after you've read all of those books, you might still be left with one very practical problem on your hands, and that is, how exactly do you increase your income in order to have the money to invest? Which is why I would love to peel back the curtain and show you how I make $62,500 a month in my online business. Watch this video next to learn all about my 7 income streams and what I learned in the process of building them.